Humans are, by design, pattern-driven organisms. Our brains utilize predictive coding to interpret reality, constantly scanning for repeating rhythms and predictable cycles in the environment around us. We feel these rhythms in our own lives, noticing the repeating pull of our emotional gravity, the distinct seasons of our creativity, or the recurring friction in our relationships. However, we often lack the specific internal vocabulary required to map these tendencies. As modern science advanced, it prioritized what could be measured externally through microscopes and telescopes. In this shift toward the outer world, we largely discarded the systems meant to measure the internal architecture of human experience. To understand our internal operating system, we have to look backward to humanity's earliest attempts to track the rhythms of consciousness and behavior. In ancient Mesopotamia, astrology emerged as a rigorous observational science rather than a mystical pursuit. For centuries, early astronomers treated the sky as a literal text. They recorded planetary motions, eclipses, and lunar phases on clay tablets, building a massive, mathematically standardized dataset. These observers identified direct correlations between the macro rhythms of the cosmos and the collective behavioral energy unfolding on Earth, noting how specific alignments coincided with shifts in human sentiment. This external tracking eventually turned inward, evolving into a psychological map that aligned with modern depth psychology and the study of universal archetypes. Astrology survives as a symbolic mirror, a tool designed to make the invisible patterns of human behavior legible to the individual. An astrological birth chart functions as a diagnostic engine, a snapshot of the cosmic frequency at the precise moment of an individual's birth. This map outlines our default emotional settings and our instinctive behavioral tendencies. Understanding it requires learning its foundational grammar. First are the planets, representing core psychological functions. Venus symbolizes attraction and values. Mars represents assertion and desire. Saturn governs discipline and responsibility. The houses represent the life arenas, the specific fields of experience, such as career, home, or partnerships, where these psychological functions manifest. Finally, the zodiac signs act as the behavioral styles, or archetypes, that flavor how those planetary functions operate within their respective arenas: function, arena, and style. These three variables combine to form the linguistic grammar of our personality. These functions interact through aspects, the physical geometry of internal tension and harmony. This geometry maps exactly how different parts of our psyche communicate. A conjunction occurs when two distinct functions merge, blending their energies into a single concentrated force within the psyche. An opposition creates a visible balance of polarities, pulling between two different needs and requiring a constant state of internal negotiation. A square represents profound psychological pressure. This rigid 90-degree angle creates the friction necessary to force structural growth and behavioral change. In contrast, a trine forms a harmonious, frictionless pathway where internal energy flows with natural ease and talent. This celestial geometry reveals the chart as a dynamic map of internal friction and flow. Moving from abstract geometry to lived experience requires observing where these patterns repeat in our daily choices. The purpose of mapping this system is to track the movement from the shadow, unconscious, reactive behavior, to the gift, which is conscious, evolved action. This evolution is practical. It is the process of refining raw greed into aspiration, maturing codependence into guidance, and transforming mental doubt into disciplined inquiry. Identifying the shadow pattern is the first step in interrupting the unconscious loop, allowing a different response to emerge. While outer planetary cycles shape the eras we live in and our natal charts map our default settings, they do not function as a fixed destiny. Gaining diagnostic awareness of our internal patterns allows us to recognize the moment a reactive habit begins. This visibility creates a threshold of choice. Astrology provides a framework for coherence. By seeing the architectural pattern of our tendencies, we gain the distance needed to intervene in our own cycles. This intervention enables us to move from reacting to external forces to living intentionally from the inside out. The cosmos provides the archetypal vocabulary, but the individual determines the meaning.